You're watching Drakewing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, Neri here from Drakewing Gaming, and some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today, as you can see, we're coming at you with another Let's Play episode of Psychic Connections, Aiden's Path. I think I'm going to finish up Aiden's day today, and then we'll be moving on to our Quinn run, so that we will be all caught up for every character when the next update finally arrives. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy the video. Let's jump right back into it, shall we? I'm gonna have to edit that. Alright. Yep, definitely gonna have to edit that. This guy is seriously everywhere, isn't he? He has to be for this job. It wouldn't be the best look if I were to somehow injure myself and he couldn't explain how that happened. You get used to it, Mason. Honestly, you probably won't even notice Jerry most of the time. I made it clear he isn't to be on campus barring emergencies, so you're unlikely to run into him except in those rare instances. I guess I should be comforted by that, but I can't help but feel a little unnerved by the quiet bodyguard. He seems to pop in at the most random times. Just the idea of being followed and having my mind read leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Is this how it always is for Aiden? How does he get any privacy with someone like that constantly around? Anyway, Elliot's got some breakfast bars up there for you two. I think I'm gonna go dry off. I was about to say, I'm surprised you decided to take another dip in the lake. What can I say? The water feels nice. There's not much else to do out here. Unless you two wanted to start up another game of Truth or Dare. I've had enough of that for the weekend. Perhaps even my lifetime. I thought you had fun. You were laughing by the end there. At the absolute absurdity of it all, I don't participate willingly in things designed to make a fool out of me. I can't think of a good argument for that at the moment, but I'm not sure fooling around when you're with friends can really be that bad. Quinn shakes his head in a clear display of disapproval, while Aiden simply shrugs unapologetically. And the penis is gone. The three of us meander our way back to our campsite and rejoin the others who are seated around the fire pit. Jude notices us first, or at least I assume he did, because he announces our arrival without looking up. Quinn's back, and he found the other two. Good! Now I don't have to worry about either of you starving. Elliot then begins staring at the two of us intently. At first, I'm confused. Is he that upset? His brow furrows, and it's then that I realize what he's doing. Soon, the two small breakfast bars float into view and stop before us. Aiden shakes his head, and I grab the packaged snack that was floating in midair. Bart's Breakfast Bowl Bar? The label depicts a lumberjack wolf with giant muscles flexing with an axe, a caption stating it has optimized morning nutrition in every bite. It's got all your basic nutrients in a convenient bar. I figured it'd be good for a trip like this. I didn't want to pack too much, and the rest of the food I packed we're saving for a late lunch or early dinner. Like you're snacking on it when nobody's looking. What was that? Nothing. Thank you for this. May I ask where Zoe's run off to? Oh, she walked off looking for you. I figured she'll wander back in here after a little while. I see. I'll wait for her in my tent then. Please excuse me. Aiden brushes past me and then past Elliot before entering his tent, leaving me outside with the others. 1 second, guys. Quick coffee. Quick coffee break. Okay, we're good. Looking around, I see Quinn drying himself off while Jude continues his carving from last night. Elliot sits down on a log, humming to himself. Meanwhile, I can hear Aiden rummaging around in his tent. Talk with Aiden. I moved towards Aiden's tent to see if perhaps he wanted to talk. Upon entering, I met with Aiden making a rather disgusted expression. Oh. Hi, Mason. Everything alright? Truthfully, not really. I'm not exactly fond of these Bart bars. I didn't really need any sort of mind reader. I didn't need to be any sort of mind reader to really figure that one out. Let me save it right here, guys. Are they really that bad? Depends on who you ask. Quinn loves them, while Elliot and Jude don't seem to mind them. The only other person that seems to agree with me on this is Zoe. Regardless of how I feel, though, it's my only option for food right now, so I have to make do. Aiden proceeds to place the food against his mouth once more, and he audibly whimpers before biting a small morsel off of the bar. He then visibly makes a gagging motion that only further emphasizes his disgust. Can't be that bad. Then again, the alcohol Elliot brought also tasted pretty terrible. Maybe he just has terrible taste when it comes to certain things. Or maybe he likes promoting his bulky friends. Carefully unwrapping the breakfast bar, I met with a scent of smoky meat as well as tomato and pineapple? My nose is confused. Needless to say, I look at the bar of questionable contents with both intrigue and fear. I take a cautious bite out of the bar, and find myself absolutely filled with regret. Eggs and spoiled pizza. I don't know why, but that's the closest similarity that comes to my mind to describe the flavor of this atrocity in my mouth. The texture is very coarse. It almost feels like sandpaper inside of my mouth. How could anyone enjoy this? I'm not sure whether to be happy you hate it or not. How do you know it? Oh, right. Psychic. It's a truly disgusting excuse for food, yet the other guys don't seem to even mind it. It's what we have available to us, though, so bon appetit. Aiden and I continue to scarf down the terrible bars over the course of several minutes. It's rather surprising nobody comes to check on us, despite the audible gagging and gasps made while we're trying to choke down our food. Oh, yeah, you guys doing that in the middle of the day, huh? Several minutes pass by between us in near silence as we continue trying to cleanse our palates. Surely there's no food worse than what I've just eaten. The next step would have just been straight-up vomit. I don't know if that was enough. Perhaps I should ask Jericho to go get me some digestible food. He'd go do that? If I express the importance of doing so. In fact, let me send him a text now. There, he should be back within the hour with some better snack items. I don't imagine Elliot will be too happy about that. Well, hopefully unlike Honest Jude, you can keep a secret and not tell Elliot. You want me to lie? No, I simply offer that you omit the truth in exchange for some actual food to fill your gut. Well, I don't love the idea of lying to Elliot. I do love the idea of eating some actual food. Well, how is this going to offend Elliot? Like, just say that you wanted more food. I mean, you guys are pretty open about not liking the beer. I think he can take some criticism about the bars. To keep my hunger with it, the what? To keep my hunger, and with it my hangry rage at bay, I agree to Aiden's terms. While Aiden and I chat idly waiting for Jericho, Zoe pops her head in the tent. Hey you two, how's it going? We're both doing well, Zoe. How are you? Oh good, just good. Was looking for you this morning, Aiden, but you up and disappeared. Yes, I had to make a phone call, after which Mason and I went on a walk. Why? Did you need something from me? Not particularly. I just wanted to make sure you're alright. I was worried you might have been attacked by some crazed axe murderer in the woods. Somehow, I doubt a crazed axe murderer would be in these woods, and I doubt even more that they'd attack me in broad daylight. Hey, I'm just saying. You never know. I mean, you all are psychic, so, like, that's kind of crazy. Try selling that yarn to Quinn. I'm sure he'd be all over it. Before you know it, he'll be telling scary stories before the night's over. Ooh, that's a good idea. Before even having the chance to protest, Zoe quickly zips out of the tent, leaving Aiden and myself with our mouths agape. What'd you two expect? A short while after that, Jericho returns with the promised food. I'm not sure how he snuck it past Elliot, but my stomach was too happy to care. Save it right here, guys. Aiden then steps out from the tent once he's finished his jerky, and I do the same. Following Aiden out of the tent, he approaches Elliot, who appears to be gathering some food for the pit. Need any help? Oh, no worries. I think there's enough wood for now. And for a good fire later tonight. I see. Do you know where Quinn ran off to? Quinn pulled Jude aside to have a chat. Not sure what about, but it seems serious. Ooh. Zoe was talking to him, so I imagine it might have been about that incident with his roommate. I presume she went with them to mediate. One second, guys. Ears popping a little bit this morning. I see. If I might ask, what do you make of all of it? Well, this Greg sounds like a real piece of work. At the end of the day, though, we need to trust Quinn will make the best decision for himself. Right. But don't you think it's more than that? We need to make sure this delinquent is punished properly for what he did. What do you think, Mason? Yes, I'm rather curious as well. I can understand both of their views on this, and I somewhat agree with each of them. Yeah, let's... My cat's is being a little silly willy. Let's, aggressive. I think Aiden is right. We should be pursuing some means of justice to keep this from happening to someone else. Exactly. If we had proof beyond Quinn's black eye, we'd have something irrefutable for legal action. I know you might think we need to take action to prevent things from getting any worse, but how do you expect Quinn to grow if you solve this issue for him? They both are making valid points, but this seems like it's about to get a little too heated. Okay, you two, let's break it up. What matters is that Zoe is dealing with Greg, and that Quinn is going to be alright. Right? The two men grumble their disapproval, but they seem to concede and agree with me. This cat over here is trying to get into this bag, but there's stuff in the bag already. It's funny. Elliot moves on with getting the food from his truck, while Aiden alternates between watching Elliot and checking his phone. Jude, Quinn, and Zoe eventually return to us as the sun begins lowering in the sky. Their timing could not have been better, as Elliot had just begun putting the fire together. Watching him bring the flame to life, Zoe perches herself next to me while Quinn and Jude take up a log on the side. Zoe leans close to me and begins speaking to me in an almost whisper. So, how you doing? I hope you didn't have any trouble last night. It's a fair question, and I'm not sure how to answer. Stop being crazy, little kitty. I can tell she's asking because she thinks something steaming probably happened between me and Aiden. She couldn't be further from the truth. I'm not really sure how to talk about what's bothering me. The dream I had is still lingering in the back of my mind. I told Aiden, but he was pretty dismissive of it, and was sure it had just been a dream. I want to agree with him because of how strange it was, but it just felt too vivid. Let's say it right here, guys. I want to talk about it with Zoe, but I'm not sure how to broach the subject. I suppose I could just dive into it. Well, I had a bit of a strange dream, only I'm not so sure it was a dream. It felt more real than any dream I've had before, and there was this voice. Zoe listens to me explaining the dream, and she doesn't say a thing until I finish retelling every detail. I tell her everything, from the black void to the strange voice to the strange falling at the end. Wow. That's it? Just wow? Oh, what do you want me to say? I mean, it sounds crazy, even to me. So, you don't believe me? No, I actually do. This sounds very similar to other stories I've heard about dream-based psychics. So you think my abilities might be tied to my dreams? At least in some capacity, it makes the most sense, especially if you've never noticed anything while you've been awake. However, paranormal activities in dreams are also harder to confirm. It's not like there's any physical proof of the happenings within dreams. What I recommend is that you keep a dream journal. It might help you figure all this stuff out. Zoe's smile falls as an expression of concern seems to take its place on her face. You okay? Well, it's just that if what you said is true, someone out there has a grudge against me. The only thing is, I don't think I've met anyone named Dante. So I don't know why this person would be so upset with me. That is puzzling. Dante sounded like he definitely knew Zoe and the others. Yet, I'm sure Zoe would remember if she'd upset someone this greatly, especially given how she always knows when someone she meets is a psychic. I don't get much time to linger on this, as my thoughts are immediately interrupted by two of my favorite words in the English language. Food's done! Elliot presents us all with a pile of mouth-watering steamy burgers, cooked perfectly medium and still sizzling on the pan. Quinn excitedly grabs a burger and slaps it into a bun that Elliot had brought. He then quickly scarfs it down before letting out a tiny belch. Meanwhile, Jude seems to inhale an entire burger in just one bite before grabbing another burger. Zoe and Aiden both seem to eat their burgers slowly, opting instead to savor their meal. I'd be in the middle of that, between eating it slowly and eating it quickly. Ugh. Elliot looks on at the others eating his food happily before taking a sample of the meat for himself. Despite being intrigued by the psychological aspects revealed by everyone's food etiquette, I'm absolutely starved and need this chunk of meat in my body. Oh, I've heard that before. And I've been there. I have the juicy buns halfway down my throat by the time Zoe stands up and starts talking. 1 second, guys, let me... Oh, pumpkin spice coffee is finished. Hey guys, so while we're eating, I just wanted to say a few words. Zoe shuffles back and forth a bit, her eyes passing over everyone with a large smile on her face. Y'all are really special to me, and I appreciate getting the chance to come out here like this. I don't want to get sappy, but I'm glad you're all still willing to do stuff like this. It feels like forever ago that it was a struggle to convince Quinn to leave his room, or to get Jude to talk about his feelings. What are you talking about? Jude still doesn't talk about his feelings. Only because I'm not nearly the sap the rest of you are.
Alright, fair enough, but he's getting better about it. Aiden rarely did anything outside of school and work, and Elliot threw himself into the cafe after. Anyway, it's been a wild ride, and now we've got Mason joining us. I know that he's still a stranger to all of us, but I really do want him to feel welcomed.
Everyone's eyes are on me now. Elliot and Quinn both flash me smiles, while Jude and Aiden seem to look at me with curiosity.
I promise, Mason, we're going to figure out what your ability is for certain, and help you figure out how to properly manage it. Just like how we're going to keep working on improving ourselves. Normally, we'd have a meeting tomorrow at the Hot Cup, but I figured since we're all here, we can just do it now. So, who wants to get started? Elliot?
I turn my attention to Elliot, and he regards me for a moment before turning his attention to the group as a whole. Well, I don't really have much to report. I only really lost my cool once this week. There was a couple causing issues at the cafe. The conversation dug at me a bit, but I managed to keep calm. Aside from a cracked window, nothing got broken. That dirtbag was lucky I didn't break him. That coffee stung like a bitch. Nevertheless, a cracked window isn't nothing, and we should be vigilant in making sure there are no more slip-ups. Elliot nods in agreement with Aiden's statement, yet his posture slouches a bit.
Alright then, Aiden. Your turn.
Sure. For a moment, I think Aiden looks a bit nervous, but after a quick neckerchief adjustment, he begins speaking. The fare this year was surprisingly tolerable. While I still got headaches, it wasn't as bad as it had been last year. Outside of a drunken pledge ruining one of my blazers and getting into a small spat with Jude, my week went rather swimmingly.
And do you know why that fight happened at all?
Because, as I'm sure you'll tell me, I wasn't respecting Jude's boundaries. Zoe sighs. Based on Aiden's tone, he almost sounds like he doesn't really blame himself too much. Jude doesn't seem to pick up on this, or if he does, he has nothing to say on the matter.
That's not all, but you both made plenty of strides today that I don't want to push it too much. Speaking of, Jude, it's your turn.
Well, I ran into this punk that tried stealing some girl's wallet. Pulled him aside and was going to set him straight before Quinn showed up.
Only because your version of setting him straight would have likely gotten you kicked off campus.
Right. Anyway, beyond that, I mostly just kept having to pick up after one of my coworkers. I can't even count on my two hands how many mugs I saved from the floor. That's sad. I don't know, I mean, if she's just not cut out for the job, she's just not cut out for the job. If you're working a job with like a lot of breakable objects and you're kind of a ditz or klutz, then you know. All right, Jude, fine. I'll let her go after the next shift. Thank God. At least the others can do the job without breaking anything.
Is it going to be too difficult finding a replacement?
This might be the best time to bring this up, actually. So, this might be a weird time to apply, but I'm sort of looking for a job.
Ooh, you're gonna hire Mason, right, Elliot? You're gonna hire Mason, right, Elliot?
As fun as that sounds, I'd have to think about it. If you still find yourself seeking employment, I might be able to help set you up with something, Mason. Thanks, I appreciate it.
Alright, this is good. Quinn, it's your turn now.
Quinn stands up now and everyone turns their attention towards him. He wiggles in place for a moment, seemingly thinking about what to say.
So, as I'm sure you're all aware by now, I got into a bad scrape with my roommate this week. It was a shitty situation, but now that I'm rooming with Mason, I'm sure things will get better. Quinn flashes me an appreciative smile and I nod his way. He coughs to clear his throat before continuing. Outside of that, my school week was okay. I've had a few visions, nothing worth sharing. Hey, we talked about this. You can always share those with us. I know I can, but a couple already happened. The others aren't too interesting, and I had a vision of a pop quiz, but I have no idea when that will be. I spent most of my week just vibing in Mason's room.
Hey, it's our room now. It's our room now, Quinn.
Have you two talked about the rules as roommates yet? We've talked about one, but we haven't had a ton of chances to talk. Mason went out on a date the other day, and I hadn't really even unpacked yet.
Zoe looks at me with curiosity and motions towards me as if urging me to explain further.
I was meeting Aiden at the library to do some preliminary research for the astronomy project.
Yes, that was hardly a date. My understanding is that a date is two individuals meeting alone over food with the intent of talking about one another. Probably doing a little bit more than talking. Well, I mean, someone will probably be doing the talking while the other person has their mouth full, so... Aiden brought me food, and we did talk about one another, and we did meet alone. Isn't that a date based on his own very definition? And again, I shouldn't be surprised. Aiden is very practical, and I'm probably the only one that wanted it to be a date anyway. Anyway, thank you, Quinn. All that leaves now is Mason. Me? Yeah, we mostly talk about how we're managing our powers from week to week. Okay, well, I'm still getting used to Elmwood. I still don't really know where anything is. Beyond that, my first week of classes went fine. I look to Zoe and the others for some form of confirmation that I'm even talking about the right things. Somehow I feel stupid just recapping my week when the others talk specifically about their abilities. Easy, Mason. I can see you getting worked up. You're doing fine. Sorry, I guess I just feel weird not really knowing what to talk about. I guess my mind has been blown so much this week, and now I'm just curious to know more.
Well, we've got all year to help you figure everything out, right, guys? Absolutely! Oh, it's gonna be so fun having someone else to talk to.
If you have any issues, don't hesitate to come to me. We're all a friendly bunch, Mason, except for maybe Jude, but even that grump has his moments. I am not a grump. Jude says this behind a furrowed brow, perhaps even the grumpiest expression I've ever seen him with. It takes everything to hold back my laughter, while the others continue poking fun. The night seems to pass us by like this until Aiden eventually separates himself from us in order to take pictures of the night sky. Zoe and Quinn start giggling over something on her phone. Apparently it's something very funny, because Quinn keeps kicking his feet. Meanwhile, Elliot begins cleaning up the pans from dinner, while Jude picks back up his whittling project. Whittling. So what do we do now?
Oh my gosh, that's right. Guys, Zoe had this great idea earlier. We should tell scary stories.
Seriously?
Based on his tone, it doesn't sound like Jude is fond of the idea. Yes, seriously, it'll be so fun.
Seemingly finished setting up his stationary cameras, Aiden joins in with his own thoughts on the idea. I'm not sure I know any good scary stories. I've got a few I could tell, though to be honest, they might be a little too played out. I mean, it's not the worst way to pass the time. Who should start us off?
How about you, Mason? I'm curious what kind of scary stories you might come up with.
Me?
Yes, I'm so ready. I've already got chills.
Everyone looks at me rather expectantly, and I can feel the peer pressure bearing down on me. I decided to tell a short story about a boy in a hospital who had a doll that talked to him. While waiting for surgery, the doll told the boy to do things in order to get better, and the boy obliged. However, when the boy finished doing everything the doll wanted and it was time for the boy's surgery, the boy woke up unable to move. When he looked across his hospital room, laying in his bed was a boy his size, but he had the same face as his doll. I do my best to tell my story with as much theatrical flair as I'm able to muster. Everyone looks at me in silence. Each of their faces bore a different expression. Quinn broke the silence first.
That's it?
What do you mean, that's it?
Where's the build-up? The kid just gets sick and then gets face-swapped with a mannequin? I mean, it definitely was creepy, but honestly, a bit of a weak burn overall.
Not to mention, most of the time, there's a moral to these sorts of stories. Don't make out in the woods, be kind to strangers, follow the rules. What was the lesson to this story? Don't trust the words of creepy mannequins? Wow, just a whole bunch of critics. Well, I rather liked it. Sure, it wasn't scary or anything, but it was easy to follow.
Isn't that just a roundabout way of saying my story was simplistic?
What about you, Jude? What do you think?
Jude is Markiplier. He hates mannequins. Oh my god.
Oh, what? Oh, it was, whatever. Not even scary. Fucking creepy dolls and everyone swap faces with you. No, anyway, I'm gonna go, take a leak. I don't feel like you gotta wait for me. Just keep telling your stories.
Jude gets up from his log and begins slowly walking towards the trees. His shoulders tense the entire way as he walks out of sight. Well, at least my story managed to get to one person. I should just take the wins where I can. Jude doesn't return until after 3 more stories are shared, and opts against sharing one for himself. The other stories are various levels of scary, and Quinn tells a particularly gruesome tale that is likely to haunt me for several days. I want to keep talking with everyone, nevertheless, it's getting late, and I'm struggling to even keep my eyes open. I decide to walk over to Aiden, who seems to be checking his stationary cameras. Walking over to him, I can tell by his posture and expression that he isn't necessarily pleased. I presume you're not getting the perfect picture you wanted?
No. Unfortunately, there's a slight overcast, which is absolutely detrimental to the visuals.
Well, unless you've got some kind of weather machine, it looks like there isn't much you can do.
I'm afraid you are correct. Did you want to get a few pictures?
Actually, I'm feeling a bit tired, so I was thinking of shuffling off to sleep.
I see. Well, I might join you then. I have nothing left on the docket this evening, and it is rare that I get the opportunity for extra sleep.
He lets out a yawn, and I nod in agreement with Aiden. We both make our way towards our tent and wish the others a good night.
I hope you still don't mind sharing a sleeping bag. I can imagine I might have caused you some discomfort the other night.
Not at all. I really don't mind. Honestly, it was pretty cozy. Save it right here.
I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, I need to ask about that. At this point, Aiden proceeds to remove his neckerchief, followed by the rest of his shirt. He then enters the sleeping bag before motioning me to join him. Hell yeah, Wolf Daddy. I remove my own shirt and slide it beside him. Maybe it's just because I'm wearing pants, but the sleeping bag feels warmer than it did before somehow. I feel like the two of us have gotten a lot closer over this trip. Is it just me that feels this way, though? I wish I had a way of understanding how Aiden felt, similar to how he seems to almost always know how I'm feeling. Can he feel that little tingle whenever we talk? I wonder, can he hear how fast my heart is beating right now? My eyes grow heavy and I slowly drift to sleep with thoughts of this wolf flitting about in my mind. Alright, we reached the end of the build, guys. Oh! Okay, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much. This is the end of Aiden's run. Until the next update, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. I hope you guys enjoyed this extra long video with no interruptions from Alarm Chan. She will be back in the next video. Anyway, guys, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!